In the dictionary of power dynamics, dark psychology is defined as the use of psychological principles in ways that harm the target. Today we're going to tell you about the 10 dark psychology tricks to get someone to do what you want. Before starting the video, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon so you get notified when we upload the next video. Number 10. Copy the person you're with. This strategy is called mirroring. It involves subtly mimicking another person's behavior. When talking to someone, try copying their body language, gestures, and facial expressions. In 1999, New York University researched and documented the chameleon effect, which occurs when people unconsciously mimic each other's behavior. The mimicry facilitates liking. Researchers had 72 men and women work on a task with a partner. The partners who worked for the researchers either mimicked the other participants' behavior or didn't. While researchers videotaped the interactions, at the end of the interaction, the researchers had participants indicate how much they liked their partners. Sure enough, participants were more likely to say that they liked their partner when their partner was being seen to have been mimicking their behavior. When talking to someone you fancy, make sure you copy their body language. When they move their hand to their face after a few minutes, do the same. We are more likely to feel comfortable in someone's company who mirrors our body language. It's a form of bonding and can make you seem attractive to the other person. As well as copying body language, you can also match your facial expressions to theirs, as well as the tone of their voice. Just try not to make it too obvious. Number 9. Spend more time around people you're hoping to befriend. According to the mere exposure effect, people tend to like other people who are familiar to them. In one example of this phenomenon, psychologists at the University of Pittsburgh had 4 women pose as students in a university psychology class. Each woman showed up in a class a different number of times. When experimenters showed male students pictures of the 4 women, the men demonstrated a greater affinity for those women, and they'd seen more often in class, even though they hadn't interacted with any of them. Number 8. Compliment other people. People will associate the adjectives you use to describe other people with your personality. This phenomenon is called spontaneous trait transference. One study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that this effect occurred even when people knew certain traits didn't describe the people who had talked about them. According to Gretchen Rubin, author of the book The Happiness Project, whatever you say about other people influences how people see you. If you describe someone else as genuine and kind, people will also associate you with those qualities. The reverse is also true. If you're constantly trashing people behind their backs, your friends will start to associate the negative qualities with you as well. Number 7. Try to display positive emotions. Emotional contagion describes what happens when people are strongly influenced by the moods of other people. According to a research paper from The Ohio University and the University of Hawaii, people can unconsciously feel the emotions of those around them. The authors of the paper say that possibly because we naturally mimic others' movements and facial expressions, which in turn makes us feel something similar to what they're feeling. If you want to make others feel happy when they're around you, do your best to communicate positive emotions. Number 6. Be warm and competent. Princeton University psychologists and their colleagues proposed the stereotype content model, which is a theory that people judge others based on their warmth and competence. According to the model, if you can portray yourself as warm, that is, non-competitive and friendly, people will feel like they can trust you. If you seem competent, for example, if you're a high economic or educational status person, then there's more inclined to respect you. Harvard psychologist Amy Cuddy says it's important to demonstrate warmth first and then competence, especially in business settings. From an evolutionary perspective, Cuddy writes in her book Presence, it's more crucial to our survival to know whether a person deserves our trust. Number 5. Reveal your flaws from time to time. According to the pratfall effect, people will like you more after you make a mistake, but only if they believe you're a competent person. Revealing that you aren't perfect makes you more relatable and vulnerable towards the people around you. Researcher Elliot Aronson at the University of Texas, Austin, first discovered this phenomenon when he studied how simple mistakes can affect perceived attraction. He asked male students from the University of Minnesota to listen to a tape recording of people taking a quiz. When people did well on the quiz, he spilled coffee at the end of the interview. The students rated them higher on likability than when they did when the quiz was on and didn't spill coffee, or didn't do well on the quiz and spilled coffee. Number 4. Emphasize shared values. According to a classic study by Theodore Newcomb, people are more attracted to those who are similar to them. This is known as the similarity attraction effect. In his experiment, Newcomb measured his students' subjects' attributes on controversial topics such as sex and politics, and then put them in a University of Michigan-owned house to live together. By the end of their stay, the subjects liked their housemates more when they had similar attributes and attitudes about the topic measured. Interestingly, a more recent study from researchers at the University of Virginia and Washington University in St. Louis found that Air Force recruits liked each other more when they had similar negative personality traits than when they shared positive ones. When you have something in common with someone, you will both naturally bond together, whether that's your shared love for running, food, or a place. You're more likely to get along with someone if you enjoy the same things. This in turn can make you appear attractive if you have common ground. Of course, finding someone who shares your interests can be hard, but with the social app Huggle, you can discover people who go to the same places as you and share your lifestyle. There's no better icebreaker than having something in common, so why not start with mutual places? Number 3. Casually touch them. Subliminal touching occurs when you touch a person so subtly that they barely notice. Common examples include tapping someone's back or touching their arm, which can make them feel more warmly towards you. In a French study, young men stood on street corners and talked to women who walked by. The men had doubled the success rate in striking up a conversation when they slightly touched the woman's arm as they talked to them instead of doing nothing at all. A University of Mississippi and Rhodes College experiment studied the effects of interpersonal touch on restaurant tipping and had some waitresses briefly touch customers on the hand or shoulder as they were returning their change. As it turns out, those waitresses earned significantly larger tips than the ones who didn't touch their customers. Put effort into establishing a warm and positive connection to let people form a special impression of you. The win-win option here is always going to be a sincere smile. However, just one emotion is not enough. A personalized touch like a handshake, a quick tap on the shoulder, or even a short hug plays a significant role. The most important thing here is to try to feel the energy of the other person and follow their body language with your own gestures. Number 2. Smile. In one University of Wyoming study, near 100 undergraduate women looked at a photo of another woman in one of 4 poses: smiling in an open body position, smiling in a closed body position, not smiling in an open body position, and not smiling in a closed body position. Results suggested that the woman in the photo was liked most when she was smiling, regardless of her body position. More recently, researchers at Stanford University and the University of Duisburg, Essen, found that students who interacted with each other through avatars felt more positively about the interaction when the avatar displayed a bigger smile. Bonus, another study suggested that smiling when you first meet someone helps ensure that they'll remember you later. In normal conversation, people look at each other 30 to 60% of the time, but when a couple are attracted to one another, they always look at each other 75% of the time. Studies have found that if you look at someone you fancy 75% of the time when they're talking to you, you trick their brain. The brain knows the last thing someone looked at them that long and often. It means that they were in love. Number 1. See the other person how they want to be seen. People want to be perceived in a way that aligns with their own beliefs and themselves. This phenomenon is described as self-verification theory. We all seek confirmations of our views, positive or negative. For a series of studies at Stanford University and the University of Arizona, participants with positive and negative perceptions of themselves were asked whether they wanted to interact with people who had positive or negative impressions of themselves. The participants with positive self-views preferred people who thought highly of them, while those with negative self-views preferred critics. This could be because people like to interact with those who provide feedback consistent with their own identity. Other researchers suggest that when people's beliefs about us line up with our own, our relationship with them flows more smoothly. That's likely because we feel understood, which is an important component of intimacy. Do let us know in the comments if any of these have ever helped you. Thank you for watching.